Anno's Magic Seeds by Mitsumasa Anno. The wizard handed Jack the 2 golden seeds. "These are magic," he said. "Bake 1 seed in the oven until it is red, then eat it. You will not be hungry again for a whole year. Bury the other seed in the ground now and care for it well. I promise you it will grow and will give you 2 more magic seeds in the fall." Jack did exactly what the wizard told him to do. The next spring, 1 tiny sprout came up, and it grew and grew into a sturdy plant. In the summer, 2 beautiful flowers bloomed on the plant. A little later, 2 fruits appeared where the flowers had been. And in the fall, the 2 marvelous fruits produced 2 seeds, just like those the wizard had given him. In the winter, Jack baked 1 seed to eat and buried the other in the ground. The next spring came, just as before. 1 tiny plant grew from the seed Jack had buried. Summer came. 2 beautiful flowers bloomed on the plant, followed by 2 marvelous fruits. Fall came, and again, the marvelous fruits produced 2 seeds. In the winter, Jack ate 1 baked seed and buried the other seed in the ground. Once again, in the year after this, a plant came up. 2 flowers bloomed, 2 marvelous fruits grew, and 2 seeds were made. And again, Jack ate 1 seed and buried the other. The next year, the flowers bloomed again, and the marvelous fruits grew. 2 seeds were made, just as before. And again, Jack baked 1 seed and ate it and buried the other in the ground. The next year, Jack rested and watched. A plant came up, flowers bloomed on it, then 2 fruits appeared and 2 seeds were made. And as before, Jack ate a seed and buried the other in the ground. And in the next year after that, the flowers bloomed and the marvelous fruits grew, and the 2 seeds were produced as well. Again, Jack ate 1 seed and buried the other in the ground. But finally, Jack began to think about it. "This can go on and on every year this way forever," he said to himself. "If I just go on doing the same thing every year, well, this year I will bury both seeds in the ground. I will get through the winter somehow by eating something different." So that winter, he buried 2 seeds in the ground. He tended to them very carefully. The next year, this is the first year after he planted both seeds, what do you think happened? In the spring, 2 sprouts came up, and in the fall, 4 seeds were produced. In the winter, Jack baked and ate 1 seed and buried the other 3 seeds in the ground. Then in the spring, the second year, after he discovered 3 sprouts came up, and in the fall, 6 seeds were made. That winter, Jack ate 1 seed and buried the other 5. He made a noisemaker to scare away the crows and the sparrows so they wouldn't come and eat the seeds. When the wind blew on it, the noise it made startled the birds. How many fruits will grow in Jack's garden next fall? I have no clue. Well, the next year, that is the 3rd year after he got the idea, all the sprouts came up in the spring, and in the fall, 10 seeds were made from the 10 marvelous fruits. In the winter, Jack buried 9 seeds in the ground he baked, and 1 seed and ate it. The next year, the 4th year, in the spring, there were the sprouts. In the fall, there were 18 seeds. That winter, Jack buried 17 seeds in the ground. Next year, that is the 5th year, in the spring, all the sprouts came up, and in the fall, the new seeds were made. That winter, Jack ate 1 seed, and he buried the rest of the seeds in the ground. How many seeds did he bury? That next year, the 6th, all the sprouts came up, and just as before, in the fall, many seeds grew. So that many, Jack didn't bother to count them anymore. While he was busy gathering his harvest of seeds, a nice young woman came along. Her name was Alice. Alice stopped to help him. How many seeds grew that year? Jack and I baked seed, and so did Alice. And that winter, they buried the rest of the seeds in the ground. How many seeds did they bury? A lot. Many. In the spring of the next year, the 7th year, all the sprouts came up. And in the fall, there were so many seeds from all the fruits that the winter, Jack and Alice got married and held a wedding party. They gave 2 delicious magic seeds to each of their 5 guests. Each guest saved 1 seed for the souvenir of the happy day. Jack and Alice ate 1 seed each. That year, they also built a little storehouse and put 16 seeds in it to sit for a while. The rest of the seeds they buried in the ground. How many did they bury? In the next spring, the 8th, a lot of sprouts came up, and in the fall, many seeds appeared. And then, because they had quite enough seeds, they decided to sell some at the town market. They took 60 seeds to sell, including all those that they had put in the storehouse the year before. Then they put 34 seeds in the storehouse, set aside 1 seed each to eat, and buried all the rest of the seeds in the ground. How many seeds did they bury in the ground? 1. The next year was the 9th, since Jack had a good idea. In the spring, a lot of sprouts came up, and in the fall, a lot of seeds were made. That year, their baby was born. So in the winter, 3 seeds were eaten, since each of them ate 1 seed. Now, because they had so many seeds, they went to the market to sell 100 of them, including all that they had been keeping in their storehouse. They put 51 of the new crop of the seeds in the storehouse and buried all the rest of the seeds in their field. How many? Tons. Next year was the 10th. The baby was growing, so Jack and Alice built a bigger house. In the fall, their field was filled with plants bearing the magic seeds. Soon it would be time for gathering to their harvest. But suddenly, "Oh," said Jack, "the wind is blowing awfully hard." It was a hurricane. They had never expected such a terrible storm. The river overran its banks, and soon there was a flood. Jack tied the house firmly to a tree so it would not be carried away. Then he pulled the cow up to the cart, which was now floating like a ship. Alice, holding their little boy in her arms, ran up to the attic of the house. Jack managed to scoop up a small bag of seeds. He tied the bag to the tree. What a dreadful storm it was. The wind shook and the trees blew, and the rain against them. Soon the field was just like a wild sea. The wind roared, dark and muddy waters rumbled and rolled all over the plants. The crops in the storehouse were completely washed away. Finally, the storm was over, the sky cleared, and the sun came out, but the fields were empty and bare. "Still, our baby is safe, and I'm glad for that," said Alice. So am I. "Very glad indeed," said Jack. "And our cow has survived, and I was able to save 10 seeds. So cheer up, dear wife. We will start over and make a new life." Jack baked 3 seeds. He gave 1 seed to Alice and 1 to their child, and he ate 1 seed himself. He buried the rest of the seeds in the ground. Jack and his wife then bowed their heads and prayed for a good crop.